everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
What is happening, Rush Nation? We are back. We're back with another Mock Draft Thursday, and I've got a phenomenal guest with me. Even though he is not on these sides of the shores, he sounds like he should be, and that's because he is one of us, really. It's co-host of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. It's a fantasy legend, in particular, with the amount of work that he has done over the years, involved in lots of charity leagues, lots of helping people get to grips with very complicated and difficult leagues. John Byrne, welcome to the podcast. Long time coming. Glad you're here. How you doing, my man?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, that's quite an intro. I'll be clipping that one.
Yeah, put that on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that'll be going on. Yeah, no problem. All good, though. How are you doing?
Mate, great. It's all good. It's, phenomenal. So last night I got the opportunity, I haven't posted this on X yet. I was going to, I got the opportunity to see Joe Dolan, who's in town. So that was a cracking time to spend some time with him and his wife as they're over here in the UK. So really good. We're fantasy season. We've got fantasy tournaments all over the shop. Yeah. The FFCC has caused less hassle than it does normally, which is like a win. Shoehorn that in this week. Thank you to everybody who really turned out for that, and lots of fantasy drafts. What about you? How is the charity season going for you, Scott Fishbowl and the like?
Yeah, great. Yeah, got wrapped up with Scott Fishbowl. My league got drafted really quickly. It was like done in a week, which it's kind of like, oh, it's great, everyone's up for it, but then like you see everyone else still drafting 10 days, 15 days later, and you're like, oh, I kind of miss it now. But no, that was really fun. I was in a real good league. Got Zach Reed in there, Andrew Cooper, Jen Smith. So, yeah, some real hitters, yeah. I think I've missed I don't think it is Jen Smith. I think it's Helen Martinez who is in there. Jen's just in a few of my Eliminator leagues. But, yeah, some big hitters. So it wasn't an easy draft by any means. Zach kept taking my players, even though he was like 6 picks before me. It was like, oh, come on, just let Kenneth Walker fall, mate. Come on. You don't need to do that. But, yeah, we've got JCT this week, got FFCC this week. I went bold and took a kicker early-ish. Me and the other two guys on our podcast, Good Teams Win, were like, when should we take a kicker? Because they're in as a pair, I'm in as myself. And I was like, you can't go too early, right? Like, they're so valuable. You need to start 2 every week. So I went Brandon Aubrey 402, and the run just started in the middle of the 6th round. So it's like, I probably went around too early, but you just don't know. Like, you can't put a poll out and go, hey, guys, when are you going to take a kicker? Because I don't want to blow my load early here on kickers.
No.
Yeah, because people are going to lie to you. And as well they should, because that is a very naive question to ask. But I'm happy I got Brandon Aubrey. I got Dak, got that double up. They have late bye weeks. And, there's a lot going on in FFCC, as you well know. I don't want early bye weeks with my good players. I'll manage bye weeks when I get to them if I have to. Ideally, I'm still competitive. In weeks 10 and 12, when Dak's on bye, when Jaden Daniels is on bye, I can live with that. I just don't want my players who are good missing, the early weeks. So, yeah, they're the big ones I have going on. Certainly this week, yeah.
Yeah, and so many more to come as well. It's Warrior Bowl next week. We got quite a few others sort of lining up soon as well. So it is just like crazy having Women of Fantasy Football. I think that kicks off this weekend, and then the THFFBB kicks off. I
see Eric posted Lionheart Legacy is back and running this year. I seen he tweeted about it yesterday, so that's one I've played in every year. I think that I always take. I love that charity. Eric Fernandez runs that one.
It's a very special charity as well. So it definitely is definitely a good one for sure. And I think on top of that as well, just doing a little bit, like there is so many charity leagues. There's the Argyle Bowl. There's all sorts out there. Like, just get involved. I'm doing all the explainer videos, so go and check those out on the channel for sure. But while we're here, I've just been setting up the mock. We do have a full house tonight, which is great. I always put us on the end so that we've got some time to chat in between picks and it doesn't get chaotic. So I went first last week, so I'm going at the 12. I put you at the 1.
Nice.
John, so you're going to have the pressure of the 101 in a SuperFlex. This is a SuperFlex 1-point PPR. Nothing crazy other than that. No tight end premium, nothing else. Just a SuperFlex to get us geared up. There's some green dots, hopefully, in the chat. Most of them are green, which is great. We're going to hit the start. 30 seconds per pick. So this is going to rattle pretty quickly. And we're going to get going with this. So you are on the clock, and you've gone straight in. That's a big shock to go Jaden Daniels at the 101. You're going to have to talk through that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying about making sense of complicated projections and stuff for people. I use Mike Clay's projections every year for doing so. They're free. They're readily available. I think he's the gold standard of projections. Okay. He has Jaden Daniels as quarterback 1 this year. I think it's obviously easy to say. Jaden Daniels was so impressive as a rookie. He has a flaw with his legs. He has a ceiling with his arm. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are very, very special as well. They would be obviously in consideration there. I just have a very, very, very slight concern, and you're very much picking nits at this kind of level. That maybe the rushing comes down for them. I think Josh Allen's going to throw more touchdowns this year than he did last year, which is a reason we'll probably get to a player, James Cook, later, that it's such an easy fade for me this year because he's not getting 16 touchdowns again on the ground. It's just not happening. No. Josh Allen will pick some of those up on the ground, but I think he's going to throw more. But they've operated at such elite levels for years that maybe they just take a slight step back. And I honestly think Jaden Daniels, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I don't exactly love seeing it in the division, but more and more, I'm just a football fan, truthfully. I don't live and die by the Cowboys results, thank goodness. I love just watching Jaden Daniels, and I do think he is like the truth. I don't worry about any kind of CJ Stroud, like second year sophomore slump. I just think he's too good. Like, CJ Stroud was still an okay quarterback last year, but CJ Stroud never had the fantasy ceiling that Jaden Daniels does because there's very few players, in the lifetime we've been playing fantasy that do. He's an elite level rusher. He might be the best rushing quarterback in the league now, and he's a year in.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a case for that. I struggle to put him probably ahead of Lamar Jackson just because of who he is and what he does. But I think that all of that is valid. I think for me, the concern, and it's not necessarily because of him, it's CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud had that phenomenal year.
Yep.
In his rookie year. And a lot of it was because he played with no fear, no expectation. He's playing for a poor team, and they just ended up sort of being able to catch fire and just play without that pressure. And I love that idea of, do you know what? It doesn't matter this year. Just go out and play.
Yeah.
And there's no, make your mistakes this year. It doesn't matter. You throw 20 picks, who cares? It genuinely doesn't matter to us. And just drown the noise out.
Yep.
And I feel there was a bit of that with Jaden Daniels. You had a free hit last year. You had a new head coach in Dan Quinn. You had Cliff Kingsbury, who perhaps has a bit more to prove, but he's going to get time to prove it. And I just feel that they played at such a high level because they played with a freedom of a team that's not under pressure. No expectation. And I just feel, and I have Jaden Daniels like QB3, so I'm not like stupidly down on him, right? But where I have to put him behind the other two is just simply because I just can't see a way that he produces the exact same form. I think there's a little dip in regression, not a huge one, but I do think he's still going to play to a very high standard, and I still think he is an elite talent. But I do have that sort of concern. It wouldn't shock me if he fell outside the top 5 for that reason.
Yeah, it's understandable. Oh, hang on. I am back on the clock. Oh,
yeah, you're back on the clock. So I'm going to talk. We'll update the first round for those of you on the audio. So John took Jaden Daniels at the 101. Texans Fans UK, Justin Jefferson at the 102. Rich T89. Lamar Jackson 103 feels like a steal. Stevie 31. Patreon shout Stevie. Josh Allen at 104 feels a steal. Varley, who is a Bengals fan, took Jamar Chase at 105. Again, feels pretty good. Kurt, who was on the stream last week, current Warrior Bowl champion, he took Jalen Hurts at the 106. Mitch Bijan at the 107. Messi's the GOAT. Don't know if he is, but fine. Joe Burrow at the 108. Joel always likes to be outside the box. He takes Brock Purdy at the 109. Rated Butt 64, who is a Raiders fan, obviously takes Brock Bowers at 110. Can't hate that. Jets fan Seb, obviously reeling at the news of Justin Fields today and his toe injury, takes CeeDee Lamb at the 111. And then as a Bucks fan at the 112, with the best quarterback left on the board, it's Baker Mayfield. And then for Saquon Barkley to fall to the second round in whatever format, I don't care. I'm taking him. Like, it's an instant pick for him to fall there. Like, I thought I'd get Baker, and it was pretty much locked in before I did this draft. I was going to take Baker, barring something ridiculous, like 9 QBs going off the board. It was going to be Baker. Baker is my QB5. I have him over Burrow this year, as you say about predictions and true to yourself. I just buy into that offense so much. It's easy. And then, to get Barkley, there's a bit of a steal. We'll let some picks go. I think it would be good to talk about your journey into fantasy football, because you've been in the community a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe some of our British listeners aren't as familiar with your work, because you are stateside and you've done a lot with the Eliminator Leagues and a lot of the helping out Scott with some of the charity stuff. Talk a little bit around your journey, how you got into this, why fantasy football, and just sure share your story a little bit, because it's fascinating to hear.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So, I think like yourself, maybe, I don't know, misquote here. I just turned 40 the weekend. I know you didn't on the weekend, but very recently, right?
Yeah, June last month, so you're fine.
Yeah. And my first experience playing fantasy, you're on the clock, by the way.
Oh, I am.
You have a pause due, I think.
No, it's fine.
Or a repick.
Oh, yeah.
My first experience playing fantasy was Euro 96, soccer tournament in the Sun newspaper. I remember getting Victor Onopko as my budget defender because he had a very distinctive appearance. And I got into the NFL early noughts. And kind of what drew me to fantasy football and initially fantasy soccer, fantasy Premier League. And I'm going to just blow my own trumpet a little here. I always thought I was really smart about it. I went to university, studied sports journalism. That was kind of always my desired path in the world. It never worked out that way. I ended up moving to a different sector in life. But I just always felt like I got football initially and then NFL as well. And I just thought, if there's a game where I can actually put my wits to the test here, I want to do it. And my first NFL league, I think, was 2008. When I hadn't fully developed a love of the game, but fantasy football helped me do so. Cheering on my players every week, trying to figure out who to pick up on waivers, trying to figure out who to draft the following year. I think my first year I had like 4 quarterbacks in a 1 QB league. Not a great format, not a great way to do it, but hey, they're actually for the most points, so you take them all, right? Not everyone comes in an expert. And there wasn't as many resources available now as there wasn't then, as there is now, by a long shot. But yeah, I just absolutely loved it. And then the big thing for me was kind of the boom of social media, Twitter, and you could find like these people who had similar ideas. And you had the DLF forum, the Fantasy Guys forum, Football Guys forums, a place you could just go and chat about fantasy football. Reddit then boomed in popularity as a huge way to do it. And truthfully, I've only been putting out content, and me, Paul, and Joe on the Good Teams Win Great Teams Cover pod, we mainly focus on betting. We are doing fantasy this year coming up. I need to start actually doing some work on it to get some shows out rather than just talking about it, which is kind of one of my bugbears of life is that grand ideas and then it actually requires work to put out a good product every week. So that's why I'm glad we have the 3 of us doing the fantasy the betting show. But I always just liked after a couple of years, then got into heavily into Dynasty. Came like, not affiliated with, but work playing with John Bosch leagues, Ryan McDowell leagues, and really, I can't say enough good things about those 2 guys as commissioners, as people you should play in leagues with. It's one of the things, like, I think the pandemic boom brought was a huge volume of people playing. But I do think, not to sound like old men yelling at the cloud, is like, I think there's a lot less seriousness of people who take things, easy come, easy go a little.
Yeah, you're on the clock, by the way. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
You did better than me.
Oh, it's tough for that second pick now because I'm thinking Justin Fields would be nice to just slot in there, but as he is right now, I don't think that's such a good decision because we don't know what fit state he's going to be in. I'll do a little.
It can't be that bad. Someone trod on his toe. It can't be that bad, surely.
But kind of the problem is, I'm not sure how bad it needs to be bad for Justin Fields.
That's a good point.
Because I think Justin Fields is kind of working on it being at like the 99th percentile outcome for him to be really good in fantasy. And he's one, I'm just not that sure his job's that secure.
No.
The Jets, I think, are very committed to it will be Justin Fields this year. But if it isn't Justin Fields, it's Tyrod, and there's nothing behind that. I have the Jets really projected highly this year. Relative to their win total. I actually have them at 10 wins, which feels crazy. Yeah, we just done our AFC East preview this week. And I really like the roster. And if Justin Fields, I trust the OC, whose name I've forgotten presently, but he's from Detroit's passing game. They feared Justin Fields in Detroit. He always had good games against them. Aaron Glenn obviously loves him. If you get a full 17 games out with Justin Fields, I think they could be pretty good. If they can use that run game, the all-line's great. If they can just run behind Breece Hall, who I've just drafted, because I think that all-line's going to be great, I think they're going to be fine. Justin Fields needs to play efficiently, and he needs to play all 17 games, though. And I know his injury is probably going to be a nothing burger, but it's just kind of on the SuperFlex of it all. I think you get good quarterback values pretty late. I was annoyed to see James has taken JJ McCarthy in the fourth, though, because I think JJ McCarthy is kind of the cheat code in SuperFlex this year.
I think he could be. I think it's definitely, when you're looking at what's gone off the board, and I'll go through it in a minute, I kind of feel like him. There's one other I would have had over him, but yeah, I'd have felt pretty good about getting him there. I definitely think it seems to be quite a smart room. The QBs haven't jumped off in the way that perhaps they do in some more traditional drafts. So it is interesting. And I think you're right about Fields. I mean, people who listen to me for years know that I'm not a big Justin Fields guy. I just don't believe you can be successful playing football in the NFL and not complete 60% of your passes, right? I think that's kind of the issue that I have with him. And yeah, he had that little stint at the Steelers, and I think, okay, fine, you did all right at the Steelers, but was it really enough? I'm not sold.
Well, they didn't think it was.
No, I love my term, by the way. That worked really well. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of not as excited about Justin Fields. I'm not racing to draft him anywhere, and that's fine. I'll just update the audio on some of the picks. So I told you I took Saquon Barkley at the 2-1. Pat Mahomes went the 2-2, Bo Nix the 2-3, Derrick Henry at the 2-4, Justin Fields at the 2-5, Malik Neighbors at the 2-6, Ashton Jeanty at the 2-7, Caleb Williams at the 2-8, Christian McCaffrey at the 2-9 feels like a massive steal. I love that pick. Puka Nacua at 2-10, Dak Prescott 2-11. You then went back-to-back to Ronnie Chan and Brian Thomas, who felt great values there. Jonathan Taylor at the 3-2 feels very good. I'm very high on him this year. Nico Collins at the 3-3, and Russell Brown 3-4, amazing value. Varley getting Bucky Irving at 3-5 feels good as well. AJ Brown 3-6, Trey McBride 3-7, Drake London 3-8, Lad McConkey 3-9, Kyron Williams massive steal at 3-10, Garrett Wilson 3-11, although there is that concern of what happens to Justin Fields, which should be fine. I did perhaps reach a little bit, but I'm a big fan of Alvin Kamara in a situation this year at 3-12. Went back and got Kyler Murray. I just fall our bank. A top 12 QB. I don't need him to be outstanding. I just need him to be good in the SuperFlex. Drake May went the pick after, which I love. I think he is got top 8 upside this year. Mike Evans at the 4-3, Josh Jacobs at the 4-4, Justin Herbert at the 5-4-5. Amari Hampton at 4-6 feels a really good value. T. Higgins 4-7, safe as houses, as you talked about. JJ McCarthy at the 4-8, Jared Goff at the 4-9, Chase Brown at the 4-10, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Then you went Walker and Hall. That brings us up to date for the 4th round, start of the 5th. You're thinking of, you've gone 3 running backs in the top 5. And I guess for me, you kind of took the last real workhorse in Hall. You could argue that Mixon and Connor could kind of be there and they were on the board, but they do feel a tier down. So, like, was it a position scarcity, or is it just this is a strategy in your build to take 3 running backs quite early?
I don't want to be obtuse, but it kind of depends who's there. I fully agree that Brees Hall is the last of them. I don't want anything to do with Joe Mixon this year. I think he was so bad down the stretch last year, and I don't think they've improved their O-line. They've changed it an awful lot, but I don't think they've improved it. I think it's probably got worse on paper. I know Larry Tunsil had his penalty issues last year, but by and large, I think the O-line is, like I said, no better position than last year. The new OC will probably improve things a little, but I just felt Mixon was woeful down the stretch. No point trying to sugarcoat it. And yeah, James Cook, I think, is due a drop off. Trevian Henderson, I love the player. I don't think year one's going to be a workhorse. I don't know if he'll ever be a workhorse. But yeah, I kind of look at Achan, Walker, and Brees Hall as like, bracketed league winners. Guys who can absolutely dominate touches in their backfield, all plus pass catchers, and all on teams that, I mean, you could argue with the Dolphins, but we've already seen it with Achan, will dominate touches out the backfield, whether it's through the air, whether it's through on the ground. And, I want players, running backs who will catch the ball out the backfield. Primarily, and you've done the same, I guess, with Kamara and Barkley. I just think there's such upside to it that I didn't really plan on taking back-to-back running backs at the 4-5. But I think there was kind of a drop-off everywhere. There's a little thought to going Kittle, but I kind of worry a little with Kittle this year that he's too trendy, that everyone's in on him. So I'm just kind of expecting, if I don't get one of the top 2, I'm really happy waiting on tight end.
Yeah.
A little spoiler to our other drafters here that don't need to worry about me taking one at any time. No, maybe it's coming up. We're not picking again until the 8th now. But yeah, I think Bowers and McBride are a tier above Kittle. Kittle's really good. I don't know. I just kind of worry he has a down year. I don't have any. It's very vibes based, I will say. He always does well in points per game. There's not much there in the 49ers passing attack to worry about. I just worry about it, and I can't really put a number on why.
I'm a big fan of Kittle. I think this year I'd feel fine with him. I actually have him over McBride. I'm more concerned about McBride with the volume because last year there was not a lot to pass to, and you had Marvin Harrison getting up to speed. He is going to be dominant this year. He's going to get a lot more targets. I am surprised they probably didn't address the other wide receiver there, but that is fine. Like, I still think Marvin Harrison is going to take away opportunities for Trey McBride. I don't think he's huge. Like, I don't think he's going to take like 40 balls from him, but I think he takes 20. And with the lack of touchdowns there, like the fact that there's just no touchdowns there really sort of worries me enough to just go, yeah, no thanks. It's fine. I didn't plan on doing this, but we're going to do it. It's fine. Everyone on the screen knows who I'm taking now. Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Like, I just think Trey McBride, I think, is not going to get as many targets. So when you take some of the targets away, it's like, what is he? He's a target dependent tight end. So I still think he's like 3, but I do have Kittle there. I just think Kittle's got that proven pedigree. They've paid Brock. The fact that there's so lack of pass catches of quality in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
There's no Debo. Ayuk's going to be out at least 6 games, maybe more.
Yep.
Like, it's Jennings, Pearsall. Like Kittle's going to eat. I could see it dropping off second half of the season, but I think I just can punt him a little bit. I can make a case of him a little bit easier than I can for McBride. So it's horses for courses, really. I think there's not a great deal between them for me. So anyone leaning the other way, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I can get there. We'll summarize. We've pretty much summarized your team. You made 2 picks since, and then I'll get into my team.
Yeah.
You added to Daniels, Achan, Thomas, Walker, Hall, McMillan. You've added McMillan and Lawrence. So thoughts on just where you're at, sort of 7 getting into the 8th round?
Yeah, so my second quarterback, I was hoping to get JJ McCarthy, but he went what I don't know if I want to say too early. I really like the pick. I've seen him go later, so I was hoping to get him later. And then my second quarterback, kind of looking like I don't want Sam Darnold. Justin Fields, I don't really trust. I love Geno. You won't find a bigger Geno fan than me, but a bit early to go. And I probably don't need to tell you about Liam Cohen's offense.
Yeah.
I've already taken Brian Thomas. I love Travis Hunter. Again, you won't find many people higher than me on Travis Hunter. I hate the argument of he can't do it in the NFL. Let's see what he can do in the NFL. Because if you spent your career betting against Travis Hunter, you would have went broke a while ago. So I don't like the thing of what he can and can't do with Travis Hunter, because we've seen him do a lot of things that players haven't done before. So I didn't draft him here, but I think he's going about where he should, 5th, 6th round. And I just love the capability of Liam Cohen with Trevor Lawrence, who I think is a skilled quarterback. Brian Thomas is an alpha amongst alphas. And I just trust that between Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, and Trevor Lawrence, they'll get it done. I think Trevor Lawrence finally has top 8 upside, top 10 upside, certainly. And yeah, I'm happy to bet on that.
Yeah, I bet you hit the nail on the head. I think I'm excited for what they do there. I've talked about it quite a bit on this channel. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does there with the weapons, Liam Cohen, because I think you can definitely get involved and get pieces of this in a really good way. And I think they're all reasonably priced. I think Brian Thomas Jr. for what he did last year is reasonably priced. I think Travis Hunter's reasonably priced. I think the rest of the offense there is pretty reasonably priced. So, I do like all pieces that you can get there. I'll move to my team and then we'll talk about some of the other teams in the chat. So I went Baker Mayfield, as I said, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Kyler Murray. I then followed up with DJ Moore and Terry McLaurin, which I just love there to get some receivers. I took a big punt on Quentin Judkins. If this was like a money league, I probably would not do that. But I'm kind of just willing to bet at this stage that he doesn't get banned this year. So in a dynasty league, I'd be concerned. And I just think the Browns don't have the scruples to do anything about it. So I think if he's on any other team, I'd probably be more concerned. I just think if he's not banned, he's going to play. And I kind of think I'll take the discount at the back end of the 7th, start of the 8th. And then I went Chris Olave for, he's one concussion away from getting out. But if not, he's the only wide receiver. You've got Brandon Cooks with a walking stick and Bub Means and Rashid Shaheed.
Let's not talk down Rashid Shaheed.
No, I love Rashid Shaheed, but he's going to get 60 targets this year.
Yeah,
and I mean he's gonna take a quarter of them for touchdowns probably, but
no, it's an empty room. There's no tight end.
No, there's no tight end because they're all injured and crocked, and I just think Tyler Shook is going to go. Who are the best players in this offense that are going to catch the football? Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. I think I've just in this draft mopped up 75% of the Saints' offensive production.
Yeah, and
other than taking Shook, which I could do later on just to really nail it all in.
You certainly couldn't. Texan fan has taken him at 9-2.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, there you go. He's obviously he's seen what I was planning. He's looked at the master plan.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. You'll get Shook late, and just you've got your super stack there. But I think you're fine not stacking Shook, truthfully.
Yeah, I'm not that fussed about it. It's fine. I can sleep easy at night.
That discount on McLaurin, I love though.
Yeah, huge.
Because again, people hear a lot of the offense is not going to score the same amount of touchdowns last year. It's that's fine. He eats targets for fun. His touchdowns won't be 13, I believe it was last year, maybe 14.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He'll probably get more than he has in his prior years because he has the quarterback who's going 101 that everyone agrees with. So on Judkins, my bigger concern is that he's not under contract.
No, I mean, that is one.
As Stefanski said yesterday, it's not something we want to be a part of. We want to be shining a light on the good things the guys are doing on the community when he was asked about Judkins, which I just don't know how it plays out. I don't hate the value at 7-12. I mean, because I think when you get those kind of conundrums, my biggest thing is what am I missing out on? And you look at the running backs that have gone after Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, Pacheco, Brian Robinson. I'm going to make the same noise 100 times here. I love Tony Pollard. I like your pick of Travis Etienne. because I think those guys have got top 12 upside.
Mhm.
Caleb Johnson maybe does if Rodgers likes him. If Rodgers doesn't like him, he's fucked. Apologies for my language.
Does Rodgers like anyone though? Really, if their names aren't Devontae Adams and
yeah, no.
if he hasn't played with you already before, chances are he doesn't like you any.
Yeah, and if he misses one blitz pickup, Aaron Rodgers isn't running away from defenders. If Caleb Johnson misses one blitz pickup, it's Jalen Warren time.
I agree. I just thought, do you know what? It's a bit different. And yeah, you're right. He's not under contract. I also and this is no slight against Kevin Stefanski, because he's right. Everything he says is absolutely spot on. He doesn't hand out the contracts, and Jimmy Haslam doesn't give a crap.
Yeah, and the
He
Browns
just doesn't. Jimmy Haslam's got no morals. He's got no scruples. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he's like, I drafted this player in the second round. We'll just get it done. And like, Judkins will now race to make that contract work because he's not going to get any money otherwise. Yeah,
he has to. Yeah. I'm going to have a decision to make here at the turn. I wasn't anticipating it.
Ooh.
3 wide receivers I like. So we'll pop our tight end and we'll take Tucker Kraft because that's a nice, easy one.
Yeah, that's great value there at the end of the 10th.
Well, I was trying to torn at the 9-1 of taking Egbuka, who I absolutely adore. And I'm hoping you feel the same as a Bucs.
Yeah. Big fan.
He was my wide receiver 2 behind Travis Hunter. I prefer him to Ted McMillan, but I think Ted McMillan this year has a better opportunity, which is why I'm taking him at the 6-12 and Egbuka 9-1, which felt like a bit of a reach. And then I'm still torn between. Well, I'm going to take Juwan Jennings.
Okay.
But there's 3 receivers there. I won't say who they are until they go, but I think all 3 have got real upside and can all. Truthfully, Egbuka, Jennings, and the other 2 guys, I just think are kind of all receivers I want on my team. Egbuka, like I say, you're a Bucs fan. You obviously rate Baker really highly this year. Chris Godwin maybe off to a slow start. I think Egbuka is the perfect. I couldn't believe when the Bucs drafted him. I'm so pleased for you as a team. Just like, what a perfect fit, because to me, he's exactly what Chris Godwin is. And Jaden Reed was one of the wide receivers I was talking about. And Josh Downs was the other. Perfect. So at least I was in the right ballpark.
Yeah, you literally nailed them all there.
Yeah, I think those 4 players could all, maybe in wide receiver 1s is a little optimistic, but could all be the wide receiver 1 on their team. I think Mike Evans.
I think you and I are very polar different then on Josh Downs. I'm out on Josh Downs everywhere this year.
Really? I see you took Michael Pittman ahead of him, so obviously you have Pittman ahead of him. Why so low on Downs? Just the quarterbacks are so bad?
Well, no. For me, if and again, this will change a little bit. So my feeling is that Daniel Jones wins the job. If Daniel Jones wins the job, then, I think Pittman to the moon. I think he finishes in the top 18 easy.
Interesting.
You follow the money, right? He is paid as one of the best wide receivers in the league. They paid him a lot of money. He had some injury issues last year. Then he had to deal with terrible wide receiver play. The other thing that I'm concerned about with Josh Downs is the scheme fit around Shane Steichen and this requirement of only really playing with 2 wide receiver sets.
Yeah.
And then I just think Downs is the odd man out, because I think it'll be Pierce, and I think it will have to be Pittman because they've paid him. Like, it will have to be. They are not leaving Michael Pittman on the sideline. Last year they get away with it because he was hurt, but they're not leaving Pittman out. So it's a case between Pierce and Downs. I think Downs is the better receiver, but I don't think he's the best fit for those 2 wide receiver sets. And so when that happens, he's the odd man out. So then you get into a scenario of he might play 60% of snaps, and then he's going to need to really eat on those 60% of snaps. And that's why I can't get there on Downs. That's why I'll fade him everywhere, because he's going to have to be absolutely nuclear every time he's on the field to return some value.
Which, I mean, in his defense, he largely has been.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Pittman's the one I struggle with because he's not old, but he's getting to the point in Dynasty you'd be not afraid of drafting him, but he's never getting higher in value in Dynasty than he was today, I would dare say.
No, I agree with this.
I know we're not doing a Dynasty draft, so but I'm just kind of worried that with Pittman, he's carrying injuries. His contracts get outable after this year. I'm not too sure what his long term is. This year, he could be better than Downs. I wouldn't be stunned. And truthfully, I don't really want much of the Indianapolis anything. Even Jonathan Taylor, like, I'm taking Achane ahead of him, taking McCaffrey. I mean, it's not a fade, but at his value, it is. Because I just kind of worried that it's just too dysfunctional to operate. If Danny Dimes is the good answer, it's probably not a question you want to ask, is it?
That's fair. Yeah, I know, but I think he's a better quarterback than I think people were prepared to give him some credit for. And I think it'll be interesting to see what Shane Steichen does with him. I think that's more the style of quarterback that he wants. My biggest worry was why they took Anthony Richardson in the first place. And I want to know the person who made that decision, because I'm a Florida Gator fan, and I think I was the most shocked of anybody that he got drafted in 5th overall. And I was like, okay, what do you see that I don't? Because he is raw. Like he was like literally, if we're talking about a cow, still mooing raw. Like he just had nothing ready for the pros other than athletic traits. Blew the doors out of the combine. He's an incredible athlete. But man, was he just so underbaked going into the season, and it's shown. Even his physicality is just not held up to the NFL, and that's a big concern. So it's going to be interesting. I think if Dimes gets under center, I just think they're functional. And when you get a functional QB with Shane Steichen, I think I'm really intrigued to see the offensive output, because I think it'll be a lot better than what they've had. You're going to make some picks, and then we're going to talk about some teams in the draft drafting with us, because we are 12 rounds in and we haven't mentioned anyone else, which is probably a bit harsh, especially as these people are tuned in and drafting with us. And thank you very much for being part of this, everyone who's drafting with us. There is some, first of all, I have to say that the standard of drafting here, there's some picks that are a little wonky of ADP. I don't mind that. Some people definitely went and got their guy. Who are you looking at here, team-wise, if this was a real league, and think, that they're the threats to a title this year to stop me winning it?
Let me have a quick look, see. Jeez Louise. Rich picking from the free spot. I'm not sure where he's made a bad pick. So he started out Lamar Jackson, Puka Nacua, Nico Collins. I mean, that could have been my start from the 101, truthfully. Chase Brown, I'm not going to say I absolutely love, but I love him in the 4th round in SuperFlex.
Yeah, the value there's crazy.
George Kittle, we've already talked about as someone who could absolutely hit. Montgomery at the end of the 6th. Justin Fields as his second quarterback early in the 7th. Cam Ward in the 8th round, I find really interesting. It's been said a lot recently, but I don't think there's been a first overall quarterback picked who gets as little conversation as Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And between him and Justin Fields, ideally, I think you're going to be starting Justin Fields, but you've got a good backup there just in case. You look at, the quarterbacks going after that is Tyler Shutt. Tua fell into 10th round. That's kind of crazy in my opinion. But Stafford, where's Cam Ward? I don't think you're missing out on much by taking him as your backup quarterback there. Debo, Josh Downs, who's obviously going to hit the ceiling. I think he's drafted really solidly, Rich, there.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of doubles there. There's a lot of solid picks. I mean, to get Jackson 103 is phenomenal. I think, there's not a pick there. I'd almost say from where he is and where the board fell, those first 5 picks pick themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think there's it's literally, I don't think he's had to sit there and think very hard about who he's going to make there, because I think all those picks have fallen at the right range, at the right value, and there's not a lot of competition around there. So I love that. I really like Stevie's draft, and I like Stevie's draft because some inside information is Stevie's a Patreon, so he looks at my rankings, so he knows how to score well against me because, Josh Allen is my QB1, Christian McCaffrey I have aggressively ranked as my running back 2. I know there's the injuries, I know there's all of this, I get it. I just think in the second round, late second, I'm like, you got to press the trigger there.
Yep.
I love St. Brown. He's my wide receiver 3 this year. I'm not as worried about him as I am worried about other pieces of that offense for sure. And then when you're looking at like other sort of available options there, I really like Garfish's sort of second QB. There might be some regression coming this way, but I'm fine with that. Cook, again, the thing is, if he swaps the Cook and the Connor picks, I'm a lot happier. But he's got them both, so it's kind of irrelevant. I love Cortland Sutton where he's got him.
Yep.
Njoku, Godwin, Money, like Mooney, Tracy. I mean, Tracy could be, a bit hit and miss, but I think for where you get him, he's the starting running back in the 11th round. He's gone 2 rounds later than the guys behind him on the depth chart. Like, I just think that's crazy. Yeah. And then, Jane Blue and Aaron Rodgers, which I don't love the Aaron Rodgers pick, but he is the last starting quarterback left on the board, I think. There's maybe one more.
Well, pick Cleveland, I guess.
Well, no, because I think Flacco's
Flacco
gone.
went 12-11, you're right, yeah.
So I think he genuinely got the last quarterback as his back. So I like that draft. And Kurt's draft as well, Baba Joshua's is decent. Like, he's hit a lot of wide receivers. He's going to need some luck at the running back position. But I think especially to get Javonte Williams where he's got him, I feel is exceptional value.
Yeah, I'm not as big on Javonte, I will say. But
no, but to get him in the 12th round.
Yeah.
To get him in the 12th round, I'm like, if you're looking at who's going around that range, I'm all right with it. Like, he went what, 2 picks before Jaden Blue. Yes, you could have gone Dobbins, and that's fine, but I
don't think I would take Jaden Blue either, though. I don't want any of the Dallas running backs in the 12th round, truthfully. No. So I understand if you think Javonte is going to get volume, or you think Jaden Blue's going to burst, then I understand it. I just don't. So that's why I'm not on them. But otherwise, I love Jordan Mason, though. And he has just taken Bashal Tootin, who I was going to double up Tank Bigsby if he came all the way to 14-12.
Because, shore up the backfield, right?
Well, I think one of the things that this year I think is the biggest keys to winning fantasy is get the Jags running back right.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think anyone who's speaking hugely confidently on who that's going to be now is maybe a little too confident in themselves, because I think you can make arguments for any of the 3, Bigsby, Tootin, or ETN, and I think they're all kind of relevant arguments. I just struggle to separate really one from the other in terms of, like, I know it's going to be we haven't even had training camp yet, and people are planting flags on Tootin, planting flags on Bigsby, planting flags on ETN. It's like, I think you just need to kind of let this one play out. Take your gambles on whichever one you fancy, but you took ETN in the 9th, I took Bigsby in the 12th, Tootin in the 14th. I think that's kind of about where they should go in that kind of relatively small cluster. And I don't think all 3 will hit, but I think one of them will. And again, all praise be to Liam Cohen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, where I've sort of viewed this backfield is ETN till the bye will get the majority of work. And there's 2 reasons for that for me. One is he's in the last year of his deal. So I just see him running the wheels off, because I think you would. Like, you got a resource, you've got limited time. I don't think he re-ups there unless he has a stellar season, and then who knows. But I could see him dominating the first 8 weeks of the season because it's what, and he wasn't healthy last year against another player who was injured. He had hamstring injuries and whatnot. Yes, it will depend on camp. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say this is definitely going to happen, but Bigsby had a great opportunity last year and didn't take it. And again, he had his own injury problems. Yeah. So I think Cohen will see the world very differently. And I think that Tootin has an opportunity, but I don't think it's going to be straight away. Bigsby is the style of back that I think Cohen likes the most, but he's going to have to work on the handling issues, and he's going to have to remain strong, and that blocking has to improve a little bit as well. Whereas I think ETN just kind of does enough of everything well enough to get the early set volume, but I do think it flips. And I think if you're sitting there, I think you got 2 schools of thought. Do you want the guy who's going to get the early volume, or do you want the guy who could be the league winner? So I think I ended up with the guy in the first half. I think you have probably ended up with the guy in the second half. And there's the argument that Tootin could come through and do that. I think I kind of projected it that he would. I've been thinking for the last week that I'm not so sure on that anymore because I just look at Bigsby's skill set and it matches so much to what Cohen wants out of his running backs. So I think you and I will probably take again, we don't know. We're having a training camp, but I would be surprised if ETN didn't start as the one to start the season, but I don't think he's going to be successful enough to. I kind of see if I'm comparing it to the Bucks offense, right? Because again, that's what we're looking at.
Yep.
ETN is the Rashad White.
Yep.
I think Bigsby is the Bucky Irving light. I don't think he's going to be in the same stratosphere as Bucky Irving, but I think he's going to be the guy. And I think Tootin's going to kind of get the rest. So he'll be like the Sean Tucker and everybody else kind of role, which I mean is fine. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but that's kind of how I break it down as it stands. Where are we at?
You are picking again at the end of the 15th.
Yeah.
Your last 3 picks. This has flown by.
It's really gone quick. Shout out to everyone here who has done a phenomenal job.
It makes these things so much more fun when everyone's in and actually active.
Yeah, I think we've had one auto pick, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, who's draft? So here we go. The big question. And don't feel bad, everyone here. I know them reasonably well. No one's going to get offended. Is there a draft here? Is there a team that you think, in for a rough time this season?
Oh, other than the guy at the 112, let me have a look.
Yeah, I know. Jesus, a donkey. What's he doing in here? You let him in.
I think it has been a good room.
Yeah,
I love CD Lamb at 111. I'm trying to find one that I don't love the start of, at least. I don't like Caleb Williams in the second round, I will say. I think it's going to be a case of picking picks that I don't especially love more than teams.
But that team gets so much better. If you take that pick out, I like Irvin at third. I like McCarthy, as we've talked about. Henderson, I love. Kelsey. I think Kelsey's great value where you get him. Worthy with the Rice news. Odunze, I think is going to come along. Pacheco, with how late he is, feels good. Tua, as you mentioned, great pick there. There's a lot to love late on in that draft.
In this one, late on, Kincaid's a player that I kind of like at his value this year as well. And I think it's one of the things I think we've got away from a little in fantasy the last couple of years is like the post-type sleepers. And Kincaid obviously had a dud year last year relative to where he's been drafted, but he wasn't actually that bad until he got injured. And I also love Ray Davis, probably my favorite handcuff in the entire. Him or Jordan Mason, my 2 favorite handcuffs. I'm pretty sure this year. See, I don't hate his team by any means. I mean, you get Jamar Chase, Bucky Irving. I love JJ McCarthy. I already said so. Caleb Williams is maybe the pick I don't like there. It's trying to look at the early rounds of who's kind of stood out. I don't think anyone has a bad team. I know that's really sitting on the fence.
No, I don't think so. I put you on the spot. I don't think anyone has a bad team. I mean, I don't love Purdy at the 1-9, but to get Henry, McConkey, Jacobs, Hunter, Love, Harvey is a bit of a reach there, but then Addison, Warren, Golden, Ayuk when he's fit, even Harris to get him as late as you have. Keon Coleman could come along. I like that the draft gets better as the rounds go on, but there's a few whoa, what's going on there? The Rashee Rice pick is going to stand out as one of but in the 6th round, you're like, well, why not? If he doesn't get banned, I mean, it looks like he is, and 4 games isn't what it used to be. I think you can overcome that reasonably quickly. And then, Scalabo, we talked about Tyler Shook. There's going to be some issues on this team, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I love the late rounds. Ford could be the starter. Likely could break out. I mean, there's some interesting picks. It's kind of like a up and down kind of draft.
Yeah. I do worry about that second quarterback on the team, though, as well, actually. Mm-hmm. I don't love Darnold with that O-line. I know they've improved. I know Kubiak will get better out of them, but I've never been a Darnold lover. Well, I was keen on him coming out, but everything I've seen in the NFL, I kind of scared about. And I like Darnold as a guy. He seems a good guy, but I just don't love it. Yeah. Shook. You can't have high expectations for Tyler Shook. Or I'll have what you're having if you do. And Joe Flacco again. I think he's going to struggle with that second quarterback. I mean, that's why he's taken a few. I kind of appreciate the approach. I wouldn't have taken Sam Darnold, I guess is kind of the point. I'd rather put Justin Fields in for a higher ceiling. I'd take Bryce Young as a higher ceiling. I think even Geno, Tua, Matthew Stafford probably have higher ceilings as well. Sam Darnold is one I'm really out on this year. So that is kind of, as you get more into the mid rounds, I'm not loving their draft. Sorry, Mr. Texans fan UK.
Yeah.
Is that Graham?
I don't think it is, no.
Oh, I was going to say, that's the same username, but I didn't think it was either. I was just unsure. That's about the only one I didn't love. And I've just seen I've got a player in my queue and I didn't take them. I took a third quarterback instead. The player in my queue is going to be Miles Sanders.
Okay.
If I have to take a Dallas running back, it's going to be Miles Sanders because I don't think he's much worse than Javonte or Jaden Blue. And he goes like 7 rounds later, and I just don't understand it. I think they're all garbage.
Yeah.
Kind of is ultimately the point. But if I'm going to trust one of them to maybe fall into volume, I'll take the one who's going basically undrafted as my punt on it.
That's fair. So let's look at your team. We are at the end of the draft. I picked the most underwhelming Mr. Irrelevant ever. I forgot I took Cade Rotten the round before, so I don't know why I did it with 3 tight ends, but why not? I'll chase with Arroyo, see what happens. Daniels, Achan, Thomas, Walker, Hall, McMillan, Lawrence, Williams, Igbuka, Kraft, Jennings, Bigsby, Byrne, Benson, Henry, Allen, and Braylon Allen, who I love, by the way. I think that's a great pick of where you've got him. And then Jackson Dart to finish up. How are you rating that?
I picked all the players, so I can't be too harsh on it, right? I like those middle-ish wide receivers I was able to get. I love Jameson Williams this year. Evan Silver has him as a top 15 wide receiver this year, which feels a little wild and a little rich to me. But I think getting Tet, JMO, Igbuka to go along with Brian Thomas, your alpha, I think is really nice. I already talked about Trevor Lawrence as an ascending player to go with Jaden Daniels. I like his team a lot. Hunter Henry is the second tight end, whatever. If I was taking a defense, I would have took the Broncos defense at the last turn there. Did they not get drafted? I know we didn't all take a defense, but I think they start with Cam Ward at home. So that's kind of how I play defense. Give me the week 1 matchup and I'll work from there. I like this team. Trey Benson, I think, is a bit of a, we'll see. He flashed at periods last year. No one I'm high on, but again, at 14-12, running backs going after is Rico Dowdle, Justice Hill, Jalen Wright. I think he's as good a shot of any of your handcuffs going that late. Yeah, I like this team. I would play a season with them.
Yeah, it could be a fun one. I have gone Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Kyler Murray. This is the worst dynasty team of all time. DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Quinn Junkins, who we talked about, Chris Olave, Travis Etienne, Michael Pittman, Jake Ferguson, Russell Wilson, because to me, he was the last quarterback on the board. I was never taking Aaron Rodgers. Cedric Tillman, Guerrero, if something happens to McCaffrey, Josh Palmer, just to see what he is. And then I went back-to-back tight end in K. Dotton and Arroyo. And I don't mind that because I'm not so sold that Ferguson is the guy. I think he'll be fine, but I don't know how good he's going to be with the trade that's come in for Pickens and what that eats into his opportunity. So K. Dotton is kind of like a steady Eddie, but his opportunity could really sink. And then you got Arroyo, and I kind of don't mind it. Like I did it by accident because I've forgotten to take an Otten, to be fair. But I kind of don't mind it because in this team I'm having to drop 2 for the kicker and the DST. Yeah. So it's like I can basically evaluate my 3 tight ends in camp and preseason and then go, which 2 do I want to go with?
And if Arroyo takes that job,
well, he's the only one there.
Well, AJ Barner, who got a good amount of snaps last year, but Arroyo's the one. If anyone's going to hit in that room, it's Arroyo.
Yeah, that's it. You've kind of got Otten's the floor play, Arroyo's the ceiling play, and Ferguson is the anywhere in between play.
Yeah, Ferguson's there,
which I think is just going to happen. This has been a really fun draft. I think it's a really, like I said, not many kickers went. I think less than last week. I think 5 kickers went. 8 DSTs. Someone's been listening to me. Don't bother taking your DST. Just take the Steelers guaranteed top 5 DST. Almost every season you can book it. For like the last 14 years, they have been in the top 5 DSTs like 9 times.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to worry about who was best last year and putting the analysis in there. Just go in around 16 and pick the Steelers DST. It's just the only way to do. If you're going to take one, just take the Steelers DST. My rule of thumb is I only ever take 4 DSTs, and I either take the Steelers, the Ravens, the Patriots, or the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go far wrong with those over the last.
No.
How many years? 20.
The Buccaneers is the Buccaneers is very volatile.
Yeah.
The Patriots have the best room to go. Like, they have the most number 1 finishes, but they do have a stinker in them like last year, but they have changed coaches, so I expect that to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ravens and the Steelers are never going to steer you very far wrong, but the Steelers are kind of a bit higher in price now. So, like, they're never there around 16 anymore, as they went in round 14 here. So that pretty much shows you everything. Man, this has been so much fun. Tell us a little bit more about the pod, and then and then you can do some plugging and go from there. We've had loads of comments. Loads of comments in here. I've not been have not been looking at this. Vince has been jumping in about Tyrell Taylor.
Yeah.
Don't like Fields. It's totally not concerned about Fields. Maybe the toe injury makes him feel better. Murf taking Pittman, that's impossible. Yeah, people really understand me very, very well. Everyone is smart vibes. There you go.
Yeah, I fully agree. Get you guys. You know, sometimes you're going to reach on ADP. I think Egbuka, where I took him at 9.1, was way above what Sleep of him in ADP. But it's like, you know, I know Murf loves the Bucks. I don't know if he'll make it back around. Yeah, Stroud didn't do much. He also got banged last year by Stephon Diggs tearing his ACL and Tank Dell being destroyed. So, but me. Yeah, we have good teams win, great teams cover. Me, Paul, Joe, we're all from England, but only one of us lives there nowadays. Joe's up in Calgary. I'm in Chicagoland. Paul is holding the fort down in Manchester for us, or Leeds, wherever he lives. Somewhere in the north.
Somewhere north.
I've never been to his house. I don't know where he lives. I think it's Leeds. I think it's Wakefield, if I have to pin him somewhere. We do betting previews every single week, betting reviews. But we're much more football focused that happens to talk about betting than it is like, we don't have algorithms. We're never, ever, ever going to sell you a pick. If you did back all our picks in the last, we're going into year 3. The last 2 seasons, you would have been profitable if you'd followed all our picks. But please don't. Gamble responsibly is always our message.
Nice.
Have fun with everything. Don't ever wager more than you can afford. Jesus Louise, do not do that. And we will never, ever sell you a pick. We're never going to guarantee you winners, ever. We have a fun draft competition every week where we pick an over, an under, an underdog, and a favourite. I lost our competition last year and had to do the Hot Ones challenge. If anyone wants to see me suffer and cry and drink a gallon of milk, you can check out our YouTube stream at Good Teams Win _ Great Teams Cover. I think that was our most watched content, which I don't know what that tells you about our people who want to see me suffer. It was really tough. It was really tough. The first 7 were like kind of fine, and the last 3 were diabolical. I literally drank a gallon of milk. My beautiful wife was just there like, do you need more milk? I'm like, yes, just leave the bottle. I can't do this. So we get up to those kind of shenanigans. In the off-season, we're just doing our State of the Division drafts right now. I think we've recorded 5, got 3 more to go. In fact, we're doing the AFC West this afternoon. I am a good worker, trust me. I am on my clock here at work checking my emails. So we're doing that. We will have some fantasy content coming up soon. I might actually bother you to appear, Murf, if you would please.
All that on.
And Paul is actually running a mastermind series. Did you make the final?
Yeah.
Well done, you. I did not. So I kind of sulked and stopped watching them. Because I was convinced I got banged in a big spot. He gave me ratchet question. I had the number 1 draft picks as my subject from like 2010-ish, I guess. I can't remember. I really struggled picking a specialist subject because I love the Cowboys, but like I'm not like super in tune with every season. You know, Super Bowls, I barely remember what number they are. I remember what year they happened, but, you know, I'm not very good at picking a thing. I love trivia, but picking one thing I struggled with. And he gave me a rotten question. It was like, which number 1 quarterback led a 27-point playoff deficit? And I was like, oh, Trevor Lawrence. He's like, no, Andrew Luck. Trevor Lawrence was 28 points. So I'm like, in mastermind format where it's like, you know, rapid fire.
Thanks for that, mate.
You do not deserve a question. And that's my co-host.
That's all right. If it makes you feel better, I got him to throw a question out.
What, because it was too bad?
Yeah, because he turned around. He got one wrong. Yeah. So
he got a dozen wrong.
Yeah, he's like, which, you know, what free agent signing led the Buccaneers in sacks? Because mine was the 2020 Super Bowl winning season.
Yeah.
And it was like, he's like, oh yeah, what free agent signing? And I was like, the Bucs didn't have a DL or like an edge rusher in free agency. They, you know, re-signed Shaq Barrett, who I think was on the tag.
Shaq Barrett, yeah.
It was Shaq Barrett, but he re-signed. So
it
wasn't that he was on the tag and then he signed a new contract. He's like, okay, yeah, I have to throw that out. I was like, yeah, you do. So, yeah, I kind of smashed the specialist subject. I think I got 12. Nice. And then I struggled, not struggled with the trivia. I think I got 6. But there were some real basic ones. Like, I did get through. I was like, I forgot that Peyton Manning was called the sheriff, and there were some like real obvious ones. I was like, I hate like, you know him, but yeah, I'm not great on nicknames. But yeah, it's fine. Like questions I knew, but I just couldn't get them out of my brain. But it's all good. Yeah, I mean, great series, and the podcast is incredible. We'll share some links. Yeah, of course I'll be on, and we can talk some fantasy. And this has been a fun show because there's been a lot of differing opinions, but good ones. And I think I've learned quite a bit from you. And some of your takes, think, okay, there's some things to file away and look at again. And I think there's some really interesting things. And I think talking about like the Jags and some of the teams, I think there's been some good stuff. And then again, I think really good draft. I'll share the photos. People take a look. There were some smart people in that room tonight. You'll definitely walk away a bit smarter. Amazing work, my friend. Tell me and tell everyone where they can find you, where they can interact, where they can find the pod, and anything else you're doing.
Yeah, so I am John Byrne. Go by Byrne in a lot of places. My Twitter, my Blue Sky, my Instagram, everything is at Byronchenko. Thankfully, no one ever took that when I was younger. That's a tribute to one of my all-time favorite players, Andrei Shevchenko, one of my all-time favorite soccer players. And Byron, you couldn't just get anywhere, so I had to add something to it. So we went Byronchenko so many years ago, and now people think I'm a Russian or an Englishman, I certainly don't think I belong in Chicago. So yeah, I'm at Byronchenko everywhere. Pod is GTW_GTC. That is good teams win, great teams cover. But all our socials are GTW_GTC. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can find us. And we're on YouTube. I like our YouTube show best because you get to see our smiling faces. And Joe does great graphics for us. So yeah, I'd love it if you check us out. And we really appreciate having you.
And you can watch along on Spotify as well and leave them a like and a review because there is the video in Spotify as well. That is where I do watch your videos. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, make sure you give a like, a subscribe, a follow, especially if you're into your betting. I know most of them on here are betting degenerates. So as you said, if you follow their picks, you make money. What more can you want? That's going to do it. Next week's show is going to be some pre-records because people need a break. I need a break like anyone else. So there'll be some pre-records, but don't worry about it because they're still good. We're going to be doing more fantasy scoring. I think we're going to do the Warrior Bowl, the THFFBB charity explainer sessions are going to be in this slot. So you'll have that. Please hit the like and subscribe on YouTube. We're fast approaching 500. We've been really slow to kind of get going. And in the last 2 months, we've kind of really grown on YouTube and about to hit 100,000 views. So thank you very much. Everyone's sort of really viewing it, which is great. If you're viewing the content, please just hit the old like button. That really helps me and the channel up a great deal. We really want to get to like 1,000 by the end of the season. That's kind of the goal. So help us get there. Hit like and subscribe. Lots of great guests will come on the more subs that we have. But that's going to do it. Stay tuned for another episode. Go back and check what we have done. Another mock draft with Jack Humphrey. We've got lots of other great stuff. We've had Joe Pisapia. We've had Bob Lung. We've had Pat Fitzmaurice. We've had the amazing John Byrne on, all sharing insights, telling you how to win at fantasy football, fill those ships in the harbor. We're going to crush it this season. We're in a good spot. We're all ready. Now it's time to watch some football, watch how camp goes, get preseason started, and get sharper. We'll be back soon. Don't forget, as always, keep rushing.